This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of another purge of the BS, sanctioned by the First Amendment. Frustration levels 0 to 100 have been authorized for use during this purge. All weapons are restricted. Government officials have not been granted immunity from the purge of the BS and shall undoubtedly receive the smoke. Commencing at the sound of the gong, any and all BS, especially unnecessary goofiness, will be purged without consequence. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be available, but they will be busy because they too will be watching the purge of the BS. Blessed be those who have already been victims of some BS. May God be with you all.
We can enter any home we want, and we will one. As long as our will on this fine night. Don't force us to hurt you. He's just a purge. To the standards.
You better find someplace else to go.
I got a wicked sweet tooth tonight. And I want my candy back.
I believe we are live. Let me make sure that's a little loud. I believe we are live and direct on another purge of the BS. Again. All right, can you hear me? I need a thumbs up in the chat here. I think y'all can hear me. So we're going to go ahead and get into the purge of the BS. Another night, another purge. Let's do this. I think the audio's good. I think we're good. If we're not, put it in the chat. Let me know. Because we are about to go. Well, thank you everybody for stopping by and saying what's up, you know. Another purge is happening, and that's what we do. That's what we do. I gotta check, my phone is on the other side of the room, so y'all gotta deal with that, because it's a live, so sorry about that. Yeah, apologize. It happens. Anytime I go live, somebody always calls my phone. It's like a thing, I don't know. So give me just a moment here. I'll allow the algo to move a little bit because I know they're not going to push nothing out there. right. So nonetheless, thank you guys for coming along for another Purge of the BS. We have a lot of quick topics to cover today. Of course, it's not going to be the ones that would be considered the popular topics, but they are definitely worth discussion. Because, as always, the goofiness continues, and it got to a point where I had to come and talk to y'all about it. I really did, because aside from the super high gas prices that I know everybody's dealing with, there's a much larger issue going on, which is the painkillers. And I don't mean the pills. I mean the people who have suppressed internal pain so much that they make these weird decisions. When it comes out, you wonder about it. It's not necessarily reasonable, but it's because they've tried to suppress so much that when stuff comes out, it don't make any sense. So there's a few different levels to this. We're going to start at a certain level, and we're going to go through a bunch of different levels, and we're going to end up with a podcast I had seen regarding the 4 different types of black people, and I thought it was really interesting, and I want to go over it because that's what we do. We go over things, find the BS, find the truth, and we continue to work towards a much better future by doing that. So I appreciate y'all for that, all right? So nonetheless, let's get into this first one, because I already see this is going to be a problem. I already see what the headline is, and I have my own issues. So I'm going to let y'all see it, and then you can tell me what you think, and then we will discuss. All right, the headline says, an infant was hospitalized with herpes after circumcision involving direct oral suction. Do I need to say it again? An infant was hospitalized with herpes after a circumcision involving direct oral suction. Okay. I'm already a little bit annoyed with that one because I can only imagine where this started. So a two-week-old baby was hospitalized after it contracted herpes during a circumcision involving direct oral suction. Now, I'm not going to lie. When I saw this the first time, I thought it was a joke. I was like, okay, they got to be joking. But no, this really happened. So a 2-week-old baby, is he talking about it? Can't have a conversation about that. So nonetheless, the 2-week-old baby was hospitalized after severe herpes breakout after contracting the virus during the Jewish ritual circumcision that involves direct oral suction. Okay, problematic because direct oral suction for a child, an infant, it sounds interesting. I don't know who came up with this custom. I would venture to say that they may have had some things that they needed to talk about. Just being honest. So the doctors found that the virus had reached the infant's cerebrospinal fluid, indicating that the infection had penetrated the central nervous system. And it looks like this guy is actually going to talk about it. Oh, no, that's something totally different. Something about Israel and Iran. I'm not even trying to talk about that right now. So the infant was rushed to the hospital after developing concerning lesions in the area of the circumcision and rapid deterioration in his condition, which required immediate hospitalization. Okay. Audio stream. Are we not getting audio? We got to be getting audio. We make sure we're live with herpes. Yeah, we're getting audio. Okay. So nonetheless, let's keep going. After an extensive series of tests, including a lumbar puncture, doctors discovered that the herpes virus had entered the baby's spinal fluid. And they described the case as deeply Troubling. You don't say. Okay, all right, let's see here. That's a diabolical picture, though. They got the scalpel and the baby. Anyway, I'm trying to see here. Okay, so the spinal fluid tested positive for herpes. It emerged that the infant had undergone circumcision using direct oral suction, a practice in which the ritual circumciser places his mouth directly on the wound. Okay, just say what it is. Because the wound is on the peen. So he placed his mouth directly on this child's anus and then sucked it. It says direct oral suction. So are you sucking the circumcision? Popping it off or something? I don't know, but I'm going to tell you, it is important to avoid this practice because of the medical risks involved. Apparently, somebody's got some cold sores or something going on in their mouth, and they do this to your child will end up with the herpes. Okay. The lady added that the health ministry has clear guidelines instructing practitioners to avoid direct oral suction and said those who wish to perform suction can use a sterile tube to prevent direct contact. Okay. This is just, it's problematic to me. Maybe just say I'm out of the loop. I don't know what the customs are. I'm not down. But I'm going to tell you right now, sucking off a circumcision doesn't sound right. Okay? I'm not perfect. I get it. Some issues in my head I might not have resolved yet. But sucking off a circumcision don't seem right. And if that's your religious custom, I would say you have a right to do that. But personally, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. Circumcision is its own thing, but you don't need to suck the circumcision. And you know what I'm saying. People always want to throw something extra in there to do the thing that they trying to do, which is this person's trying to suck the baby peen. And they don't want to say that, so they make it a ritual that they kiss the baby peen. And me personally, I don't want you sucking on my baby peen. I don't. All right, so let's see if there's anything else. The use of direct oral suction during a circumcision has been the subject of medical and legal debate for years. The health ministry has repeatedly warned against the practice and instructed them to use a glass tube or designated sterile device to avoid direct contact between the mouth and the infant. At the same time, the Interministerial Oversight Committee has stressed that they are required to inform parents of the risks associated with direct oral suction and obtain their explicit consent. Still, in some communities, the practice appears to continue despite known dangers. Okay. The reason why the practice continues despite known dangers is because the people who are kissing and sucking on baby peen like doing it. So they'll do it repeatedly. They'll do it for free, but they're going to do it. You obviously don't have to force them to do this. This is something that they are willingly ready to do. And if you tell me you're willingly and you're ready to kiss baby peen and suck off circumcisions, I don't really want you around me. Okay? Just saying. So I get it. It's some religious custom, right? It could be a religious custom. I'm just not down with that. There's certain religious customs I'm not down with. That's one of them. I'm not of that religion, and you would have a hard time explaining to me why sucking the baby circumcised peen is part of a ritual. It sounds like a ritual, but it sounds more satanic than anything else. That's just me talking. So basically, the central danger is that the mohel, which is the orchestrator, so to speak, who does not have an active cold sore, can still shed the virus in their saliva. Public health authorities have said that there is no proven way to eliminate the risk of HSV1 transmission from direct oral suction. So it should be outlawed, then, in my opinion, if that's what the problem is. We can't stop it, so we're just going to warn you about it. You could stop people from sucking baby peen, but if they say it's a religious thing, you got freedom of religion in America, even if the practice is sick. Because that's sick to me. Why are you going to suck the baby's peen right after a circumcision? What, to suck blood? Are you sucking blood out of the baby's peen? Anything you're doing is unacceptable. Hey, they're going to tell me I'm a religious hater or I'm anti-Semite or some crap like that, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm anti-sucking baby peen. Okay? Anti. Like double anti-sucking baby peen. Anyone sucking baby peen. Okay? You see what my line is drawn. So you're not going to be able to explain to me that this somehow makes the child more holy because you sucked their peen, right, and sucked off their circumcision. I'm just telling you, you can try to explain it to me. You can try, but I guarantee you it's going to all sound like bullshit to me. And it's just going to sound to me like you just like sucking baby peen and you just don't want to admit that. That's what it sounds like to me. Anyway. Guys, like, what is going on here? What is going on? This is an actual article about an infant that caught herpes from somebody sucking their circumcision. And it has apparently been discussed numerous times that this is dangerous. So, as we do here on the Purge of the BS, we peel back the layers. I'm not just mad at the guy that likes sucking baby peen. I did mention him first because that's who I have the largest problem with. But that's not the only person accountable in this situation. Remember, the parents have to consent to this. So the parents are telling the guy, it's cool if you suck our baby's peen on the circumcision and suck off the circumcision. So I have a problem with the parents too. You see how this goes? Accountability goes all over the place when it comes to the Purge of the BS. Because we know that there's bullshit all over the place. It ends up on the walls. So sometimes you got to point it out where it is. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a parent and you brought your child to get their little peen sucked off with a circumcision orally, and then they got herpes, that sounds like karma to me. I mean, I don't know everything that's karmatic, but that has that essence of karma right there. You shouldn't have put your child in that situation, and then you wouldn't be dealing with the bullshit you're dealing with. Simple enough, right? Okay. Shouts to Purple Groovy over in the chat over there. You hear this crazy shit that they doing? I didn't know they were sucking off baby peens and circumcisions. I didn't know that. And I know I'm going to get a flag on YouTube for this because it's some religious thing, and then they're going to tell me that I'm speaking out against a protected group. Well, I'm going to tell you what. You need to protect better, group, because then your little babies wouldn't be having herpes because you got dirty priests and preachers or whatever you want to call them, rabbis, I don't know. They called them a molehill, which is apparently some religious thing. Like, I guess you got to go study how to suck off circumcisions in order to get that title. I'm very unsatisfied with this whole entire situation. And I'm done with it. I'm through with it. It's bullshit. We get it. But yes, baby peen suck-offs is a part of somebody's religious culture. And that is definitely some bullshit. Got me frustrated. Got me frustrated early. You got me frustrated early. So I think I'm going to need something funny. I think I need something a little more comical because that just pissed me off. No pun intended. Purple Groovy said at this point, hell is going to hell. Like even hell's doing too much. There's like a hell for hell. And I'm starting to feel like that. As I watch some of these things appear around me in my life and just in the world in general, and I'm like, yo, something ain't right. I don't know if it's something in the water, like in the air, maybe those chemtrails that people always talk about, maybe there is something to it, maybe it's driving the people crazy. but they are full of bullshit. And then when you call them on it, they'll bring up some, oh, it's my religion. It's your religion to suck baby peen, huh? Well, you know what? Call me a blasphemer, because that's some bullshit. You understand what I'm saying? You can't explain it to me. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. There is no getting past that one with me. Jesus. Anyway, what's our second situation here? What are we purging second here? Oh, okay. All right. This one's actually kind of funny. They got a clip going on the internet, Facebook, TikTok, regarding this lady that apparently gets tried as a black adult. So it looks like it's a spoof, it's comedy. But after that last one, I needed something more funny. So that we'll go with that. So nonetheless, let's bring this thing over here. Hold on a second. We got it. All right, let's go.
To the extreme and violent nature of this crime, this court finds it fitting to try the defendant as an African American. Henceforth, you will be referred to for the jury by the name Bondell Brown.
Once the trial begins next week, all courtroom images of Hannah will depict her as a 300-pound muscular black man, and jury members will be instructed to imagine her as such.
We're going to do our best to make sure that Hannah is treated with the sympathy and sensitivity that she, as a photogenic white girl, deserves.
This is America. Nobody deserves to be treated as a black man.
Now that Hannah has been ruled black, the court has instructed local media to assume she's guilty, and the police have retroactively charged her with assaulting her arresting officer.
Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. I did find it funny. But I guess I found it funny for almost a sad reason, because the truth in it was funny. When this woman started crying, and then they said to depict her as a 300-pound black man. Why? Because there's a certain stereotype and prejudice that comes with the picture of a 300-pound black man. And I think that's first and foremost, that we need to be honest about what is actually occurring. I can tell you right now that every white person in America is not some racist, KKK membered bigot that's looking to assassinate and hang black people in the middle of the night. That is not what we're surrounded by. What we are surrounded by is these images that create a feeling of guilt before it's even been proven. And how they've done that is it was an amazing masterclass of manipulation. They put images in front of you. You've heard these things. They've darkened people's skin so that they look more formidable in a mugshot. They do these things to form an opinion and idea in your head that this is what guilty looks like. So if guilty looks like a 300-pound black man, all you have to do is just put a black man in that position and you'll assume he's guilty. You see what I'm saying? It's not that complex. It's actually very simple. You show somebody something enough times, they'll get used to it, and then they'll assume that that's what it is, even if they've never actually seen that shit themselves. Think about it like this. There are some people who are not black, right? Who live in communities where there are no black people. They go to the store, there's no black people there. Everybody that works there is not black. They are in an entire area where nothing black is going on. They might have like one black dude that lives there and he minds his business and nobody bothers him. And everybody knows him, right? So if you've lived your whole life in that environment and the only black person you know is that one guy that hasn't bothered anybody, then where did you get the idea that black people were just the threat? You got it from what you saw somewhere else. You see what I'm saying? That's not your life experience that has you angry. That's not your life experience that has you racist. It's the images that you planted on your brain. So although this clip from The Onion, and shouts to The Onion for the clip because it is humorous, but it's satire because when life imitates art, at times it can be tragic. That's tragic. For it to be so simple, for them to say something like that and know that it was going to incite humor, but we'd also have to say, yeah, that's true. If this person was tried as a black man, they would normally be found for, not necessarily found guilty, but would get more time. And this has already been scientifically proven. So miss me with the whole equal justice bullshit. We all know that the judges watch TV and shit too. And those same images that got people thinking certain things, those same judges are seeing the same shit. And they're human too. So if you think that doesn't play a factor, well, then you're wrong. I hate to say it, you're wrong. And if you are one of those people that's wrong, thank you for stopping by Purge the BS so we can purge that bullshit. Because we all know what it is. We all know what it is. A big black man is automatically viewed as a threat. When I had Officer Gamble on here a week or so ago, he was a police officer, but he's a big black man, and he used to get profiled and everything. It didn't matter that he was a police officer. When he didn't have that uniform on, he was just a 300-pound black man, and they viewed him as such. So the law wasn't even free from being profiled by the law. So who are you? So nonetheless, I get the clip, I get the humor of it, but I think at the same time as it being funny, it's also kind of sad because it's so damn true. This is the world we live in, where we all have a different perspective of some large black man who may be a big-ass teddy bear. He might be the nicest guy you ever met. But because you've been given this image of the big, angry black man, every time you see a large black man, you assume he's big and angry. And most times you're going to be wrong because that is definitely some bullshit. So shouts to The Onion for exposing people for their bullshit. The comments, of course, were not nice. And I can't show them because they are very racially motivated. Pretty much saying, hey, if black people didn't do all this stuff, then we wouldn't think that. Well, if you know what? There is some truth to that, but you forgetting that black people are not the only people that commit crime. You forgetting your folks? You forgot your folks, huh? The ones that like to bury their whole fucking family in the backyard and act like they went out to Chuck E. Cheese and didn't come back. Yeah, sure. Your folks. Okay. Y'all are the moral high ground of criminal activity. Yeah, okay. There's just some sick people out there, and it doesn't matter what color they are. That's what y'all need to start understanding. Maybe we can stop that race war bullshit and actually pay attention to what's really going on, because we're actually thinking about the fact that everybody can get it. Everybody can be sick in the head. It doesn't have to be black, white, Chinese, or any of that shit. There's just some sick people, and we got to deal with them. And if we could unify in that direction, we might actually be able to prevent some shit. But y'all always looking in the wrong direction because they done trained you to think the first big black dude is the biggest threat in the area, and really that's not the guy who's stabbing you in the back. So think twice before we laugh at The Onion, because they were able to make humor out of something that was true, and by it being true, it made it sad. It made it sad, and that's y'all. That's not me. I ain't gonna lie. Big 300-pound black man in an orange jumpsuit will get a certain response out of me because he's obviously supposed to be in jail. But just because there's a black man walking around like in Publix or something, or at the store or whatever, I don't assume that he's there to rob the place or take my family hostage. And there are people that literally think like that. And that is definitely some bullshit, all right? I'm moving on. Anyway, I appreciate y'all for coming in and hanging out with me for a second as I purge some additional bullshit. This applause is for you. And while we have a second, make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe, bang the notification so you don't miss any of the live videos. Special shouts to all of my collaborators that have been helping out on the other videos. Shouts to Shock Value Radio for the Monday night invite. I appreciate that so much. For those music lovers, make sure you come by on Monday nights to hear the Play It or Spray It segment and additional conversation that is always good. So for the rest of y'all, I don't know if you're subscribed or not, but make sure you do that right now before I get to this next purge of the BS. And if you want to support the channel, this is a monetized channel, so we can take and accept super chats and gifts as well. If you would like to support the content, nobody's going to be mad at you over here. It would be some BS if you don't support the content. So if you can't support the content monetarily, you can always support it by hitting that like button, banging the notifications, sharing the live, and dropping a comment in the chat. Okay? So nonetheless, this next clip, I'm going to say this because it's like a two-part sort of story thing that's going on here. And we're going to ask the question, and then I'm going through two clips, and then we're going to kind of ask the question again. And the real question was brought to me by a friend of mine. I was watching stuff on Facebook, and he had made a comment about rap beef, right? And whether or not it's actually good for the culture, because that's what people always say. And so I had to ask myself, I wonder if it is. So I've started having kind of a conversation with myself regarding it. And then out of nowhere, I get a clip sent over to me regarding Busta Rhymes and T.I. Now, I didn't know Busta and T.I. was even doing, I found out later that they had a thing, but I didn't know that that was a thing. And I'm starting to believe that some of the rap artists are just beefing for the sake of having some reason to be back on the headlines. Not saying that Busta can't rap and do what he got to do, but it normally seems that the beef pops up and then a new project drops right after it. So in this particular case, I don't know if there's a project dropping or what, but Busta Rhymes basically decided to check T.I. on IG. And I want to ask you guys, is this good for the culture? Okay, check this out.
What the fuck wrong with T.I. acting desperation, hanging from a thin rope, face looking ass? Old school teacher face looking ass. I was just looking, when you look at T.I., it's like, I'll be confused if he got a 5-year-old body or 85-year-old body looking ass. It don't matter what wardrobe you put on, you look like you still going to court. You put on a church suit, you look like you're going to court, nigga. Let me understand something. When you get 20-year records, 25-year-old classics, and them shits are still ripping shit down 20 to 25 years later in clubs, whether you in them shits or you not in them shits, and you got every age group bouncing off the wall, then you could talk this shit that you talking to me, man. You got a whole lot of work left to put in that you ain't put in yet. Young, old face looking ass nigga. See, you a king, I'm a god. You looking like a king and running your mouth more than looking like a king of the South. Ask me if I saw the way that you was carrying on and behaving when, you know, the whole thing went down with you and 50 and it ended up not happening. And with all jokes aside, I'm not playing when it comes to respectfully competing. I will bust your ass for real, bro, and I'm gonna bust your ass at any given point in time. You feel like you ready to revisit this, if you just so happen to choose to revisit this. I don't even gotta do no competition with you with any record of mine prior to the day that you released your first single. I could just go to that one section of my catalog and deal with you accordingly and bust your shit. That's it.
Okay.
What the fuck?
All right. Hold on a second now. So let's discuss this. Let's discuss this because one, I didn't even know there was a Busta Rhymes and T.I. thing going on. I guess I'm out of the loop at this point, and I'm willing to accept that. But was this good for the culture? Because we have two, you know, I'm not even going to say that Busta Bust is not hot, but he's not popping like he was popping back in the day. Same with T.I. T.I. ain't popping like T.I. was popping. So now we have two unpops, or not currently pops, that pops is what we're going to call them, because they're old now, arguing with each other over a catalog. Now, I'll put my opinion in here and just say, in all honesty, Busta Rhymes probably got a bigger catalog than T.I. as far as larger, more, I'm not going to say influential, but let's just say more popular music. But that doesn't mean that T.I. hasn't done his thing either. And I just wish that, to some degree, these two greats could really just respect what each of them have done and maybe collab together, because that will get everyone listening. So, no, we don't need y'all to do a versus or talk shit on IG about, whose catalog is better and all that. We don't need that. We don't need that from you, Busta. We don't. And we don't need that from T.I. because we don't need it. It's not that they can't have their own conversation about it, but I'm just being honest. We don't fucking care. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want to get on a song together, y'all want to do something live or whatever, then okay, we'll watch because of curiosity, but we don't care what you two think about each other. You see what I'm saying? Because your time has come and gone when it came to being in the front and on the headlines. So I don't need your old ass beefing with another old ass dude. I want y'all to just get money and chill and retire and let them young dudes do that shit. You see what I'm saying? It's not good for the culture, in my opinion, because it's showing that grown men are still acting like children. That's how I feel. You see what I'm saying? And I'm a piggyback off of what Purple Groovy was saying, but Busta Bus, I've heard that the lines when he was saying, "I will bust your ass," he means it a different way. And he said he would do it anywhere. He said, "Pull up, I'll bust your ass. I will bust your ass. I'll bust it. I'm gonna bust it." Pause, nigga. I'll bust your ass. Bust it. You see how he put his lips? I'm gonna bust it. All right. I know I'm being silly, but just be real. We don't want to see that either. You see what I'm saying? We don't want to see none of that shit. So if you could not do that, that'd be awesome. Busta Bus. T.I., you can keep messing with the whole 50 thing until 50 troll you, because 50 is the king of trolls. And he's like 50. And I don't mean like he's like 50 Cent the rapper. I mean like he's like 50 years old. 50 Cent is like 50 years old. So it's time to hang it up, guys. We don't need y'all old asses beefing no more. Can we show the public that at some point we fucking grow up? Maybe. With millions of dollars and 20-something years of stardom, that we finally grow up somewhere, I love Busta Bus, don't get me wrong. I respect Bus. But I just think this is dumb that a bunch of old niggas is still beefing. Or even trying to beef. Like, what is y'all beefing about? When you already got money and you already got decades of time in the game. Y'all don't even know the same people. It seems stupid. And that's just me. Like I said, respect to Bus, respect to T.I. But y'all two old asses need to sit the fuck down somewhere and stop. Okay? All right? And I'm speaking for the culture. Since you want to say this is for the culture, it's good for the culture. It's not good for the culture. It's bad for the culture. And y'all need to go sit down somewhere. Both of y'all. Both of them. Okay? Both of them need to go sit their old asses down somewhere and enjoy their time and money. Enjoy your family and shit. Stop coming on IG like you're 22. We don't care, Busta. Your best raps was already done. Both you and T.I. I don't care what you come out with now. You can't outdo when you was hungry like that. as an artist. It's very hard. You can ask any artist that went from being hungry to being mainstream and making real money. They all say their first projects was the best ones because they were still hungry. So, Bus, you ain't been hungry in 25 years, bro. And I'm not saying that you can't rap. I'm just saying the Bus that you want to put up against T.I. is not alive anymore. That person is now old as shit and needs to go sit down somewhere. So that is definitely some bullshit. Let me keep this moving. Let me keep it moving. Let me keep it moving. Yo, Purple Groovy apparently does not like Busta Bus and how those rumors. I mean, I've seen some video and he's definitely been caught in some precarious positions. And because I respect him, I ain't gonna say the same thing that some would say, but I would say they were very precarious positions. Some certain movements were like, why'd you do that? Certain ways that you embrace certain people, like did you just hug that man and grab his ass at the same time? These are things that we have problems with, okay? So let's continue the purge of the BS because like I said, I was gonna start this with the question, is the beef good for the culture? And my homeboy, who some of y'all have seen on this show numerous times, Sonny Brix, he had put on Facebook something that was really poignant, and I wanted to highlight it. So, Brix, if you're watching tonight, I got your clip this time. You said something that I wanted people to fucking hear, because I'm tired of people not paying attention to the play. And Brix knows the play, and he's speaking on it now. So let me bring this over here real quick. Hold on a second. And while I'm doing that, don't forget, hit the daggone like button. Hit the subscribe situation. And then come on back for the next live. I'll be back on Thursday. I got stuff to do between now and then. But come Thursday, we'll be back on the live. Saturday, we'll be back on the panel. Y'all just stay tuned while we go over these topics. So shouts to Sonny Brix. I'm gonna play his clip now. Brix!
Yo, why do we as black folks look at negative shit and say that's good for the culture?
Good question.
I'm so confused by it. What about negativity is good for the culture? Like, I used to battle rap. Anybody that knows me, and you can go on SoundCloud, look up Sonny Brix battles. But it was, I had to stop. I had a friend named Ebazaka, rest in peace. We used to call him EBX. One of the greatest people I've ever met. And we met each other battling on an app called Rap Rivals. And, you know, it was fun. It was like, yo, I'm trying to make sure that you never rap again. But then when I realized that he had talked to me and pulled me to the side, he showed me true kindness. So now when I look at my people and they battling, like whether it's Drake versus Kendrick or whoever, two black men shitting on each other, trying to ruin each other's career. Imagine how other races look at that.
Uh-oh.
And we trying to kill each other. And people see it and say, that's good for the culture. What culture are you talking about?
Niggas.
I mean, yes, hip-hop, they started the battle, but it was like two MCs just trying to move the crowd. That's, you know, like the whole term MC, like master of ceremonies, moving the crowd, getting the crowd pumped. But the whole ending somebody's career, how's that good for the culture? So I stopped battling and I started leading with love, and I realized you attract more bees with honey. But I stopped because it was just like, how can I respect my accomplishments when I had to down another black man to do it, just to hear another black man say that's good for the culture? Message. I ate noodles. Yo, why do...
Okay, let's unpack this, because we just heard Busta Bus and T.I., so to speak, well, really just Busta, talk about busting ass. Busting T.I.'s ass. Now, I believe that Busta Rhymes meant it in like a whole friendly competition, not literally, I will bust your ass. Now, he may have meant it similar to the way that Purple Groovy is saying he meant it, but, you know, because T.I. is a much smaller man, and Bus seemed very focused on his physical. He's like, you little small body face, old face, that you've been really checking him out, huh? So, I'm going to be honest with you. I agree with Sonny Brix on this. That shit is no longer good for the culture. It was entertainment years ago. Then things got a little bit too crazy with Tupac and Biggie, if y'all do remember this. And the two of them were saying all types of wild, crazy shit on their diss records. And then both of them ended up deceased. So that, to me, was the line. Okay, that went too far. So we should step back from that. But we never stepped back from it. We went headlong into it, went all the way into drill rap. Now, every rap album has that black and white parent advisory on it for explicit content. Everything. All of the female rappers, nobody's rapping, they're all talking about pussy. Like, it's just the whole game is screwed. And so at the end of it, two black men, like he said, trying to tear each other down. I'm over watching that fucking movie. Like, I'm over watching black people tear each other down. You want to tear yourself down? That's fine. You want to sacrifice yourself, so to speak? That, I hate to say it's fine, but you're allowed to do that. But when I see them going at each other, like he mentioned, the Drake and Kendrick situation, I don't care if you wanted Drake or Kendrick to win. How about them apples? I don't give a fuck. Because what did they win? What did they win? Did they get a prize? Well, Kendrick did get a damn Oscar or something he got that year. Or Grammy, sorry. He got a Grammy. So, yeah, you won that. But what did you really win at the end of it? Because now Kendrick can never outdo that moment in time. Forever, he'll be chasing the high that he got from that. And he'll never be that good again. He'll never be that popular again. It's not going to happen unless they do what they did last time, which is pad the freaking digital downloads and all that kind of stuff. That music wasn't as popular as they said it was, but it did play a lot. And if that's what they're counting is how many times it played, well, then yeah, you won. You won, buddy. But that didn't mean I liked to hear it every time it played. But Brix is right. And that sad-ass music he had behind him, man, had me over here feeling emotional. So I don't know if Brix made that soundtrack or whatever, but that music in the back, y'all didn't hear that sad-ass music? I felt so bad. I was like, yeah, it's not good for the culture. He's right.
To ruin each other's career.
Listen.
Imagine how other races look at that. And we trying to kill each other. And people see it and say that's good for the.
Yo, that music is very tense. But it's emotional. So you tell me what you think. Is that good for the culture? Is beef, rap beef, good for the culture? Considering we got a culture full of black people killing each other. Like, we don't really need that on the records no more. We get it. Like, we got it. People been unaliving people. And they use guns. And they sell drugs. And they use guns. Use drugs and then shoot guns. And then use drugs and then sell guns. There's all types of gang culture and bullshit out there. It has been overly represented for far too long. We are over that shit. And now we got mumble rap. We got niggas don't even stay on the beat no more. Remember you had to stay on the beat? You don't even have to stay on the beat no more. Like, the quality is down. The expectation is down. And I hate to say it, we ushered in this era by not turning our backs on the bullshit earlier because it was new. NWA was new at one point. Like I said, the parental advisory sticker that's on a CD, well, if you buy CDs, but it's shown on the album covers for people's albums now. There was a time that thing didn't exist, and I was here for it. And they had limits. You could say this many words before you needed that. And then as soon as you would have a whole album and you might hear the word shit one time on the whole album. We're talking 17 to 20 songs. Everything's clean but that one word somewhere along there. They would allow that to go through. But when they started putting the parental advisory sticker on stuff, it was around the time when NWA was out, Ghetto Boys was out, like that group. They were too much. Luke and them, you know, Luke and the 2 Live Crew, all that shit. We shitted upon the art itself, and then it became more about beef than about actual artistry. And that's what happened with the East Coast, West Coast shit. It became more about that beef than it was about whether or not Biggie and Tupac were even friends at one point. And they probably could have made their own album. With the two of them, they would have sold millions of copies. But because nobody wanted them to come together anyway, they just kept that bullshit beef going. So how is beef good for the culture? It's killing the culture. If you want to be honest, it's killing the fucking culture. We're over it, but as younger people come up and they're newly exposed to gang culture and things, they got to make their mistakes in order to learn from it. Their mistake might be taking out one of your loved ones. So at some point, we got to be real. At some point, we got to come together and say, you know what? Enough is enough. We've heard enough of that bullshit. Somebody come out with something new so we can jam to that. Because hip-hop's not dead, but the actual hip-hop that's not telling you to kill everybody is not being listened to. And it's not because it's not good. It's just because they don't want you to listen to that shit. They want you to listen to the death hip-hop, so that every time you see that 300-pound black man, you think he's going to try to shoot you or steal your girl or steal your car or any of that bullshit, that narrative that they've been pushing to you for the last 10 straight years. And we know that's not true. That's why people come and go in their lives every day and nothing happens, and they go by thousands of black people. Big ones, too. So I must say Sonny Brix is 100% right in his clip.
With no packet.
What is that?
Cereal with the can milk. Culture.
Hold on a second. What the hell was that? That was
the powder milk.
Uh-oh. I done messed something up.
No milk. Waffles, no syrup.
What is going on? Oh, okay. All right, sorry. Facebook was on some shit. Okay, anyway, let me get back over. That threw me way off, because I know who that was. Yeah, I know who that was. That was Finesse 2 times talking about no milk. And these are your heroes, guys. You can't even pronounce milk. And this is who gets the follows. This is who gets your attention. The most ignorant ass things, the most ignorant people. This is why they think the way that they think about the entire culture. Because when they see the goofy shit get all the attention, and they don't understand that some of that attention, a lot of it is really just curiosity. Like, we can't believe how dumb people are, so we got to see it for ourselves. It doesn't mean we support it. We couldn't believe what this rapper said in this song, so we had to listen to it for ourselves. Didn't mean we liked it. You see what I'm saying? But once we heard things, and the industry people who were of a similar group to those that like to suck off circumcisions, they decided they could make money off of this shit, and they realized that the violent side of it was new. So they exploited the shit out of it and then called it good for the culture. How was that good for the culture? It was never good for the culture, is my whole point. It's just we were fooled, bamboozled, led astray. You see what I'm saying? Now's the time to just be honest about it. Like, okay, I'm older now. I can look back and say, yeah, I probably should not have been reciting "A Bitch is a Bitch" by Ice Cube when I was 12 or whatever age I was when that song came out. Yeah, that probably wasn't the best way to help me build healthy relationships with women when I got older. See, I can think that way because I have the time to look back and say, oh this and oh that. But if it's your first time on Earth and you're a young person and they expose you to this shit, what are you going to do? Nothing. You're going to soak it up in like we did. And that's why we ended up with 2 additional screwed up ass generations right after that. Don't blame crack in the 80s. It was all part of a much larger picture that we fell hook, line, and sinker for. So is this good for the culture? Absolutely not. Beef is not good for the culture. Hello, black people. Hi, I'm one of y'all, right? Don't I pass the black test? Don't I pass the brown bag test, right? I'm telling you right now, it's not good for the culture. Music that does nothing but exploit the weaknesses of people is not good for the culture. Why every rapper has to always mess with women that's somebody else's girl, that's dumb to me. Because that seems like you can have any woman you want. Why you always talk about stealing somebody's girl? I pulled up with your girl. I got your girl. Why? I don't need your girl. I can get my own girl because I got everything I need. But instead of doing that, so I can show some level of like control and force and some bullshit, I'm going to take your girl because I got some money and I can. And unfortunately, there's certain women out there that will jump like that from one person to the next, depending on who's got more money. But is that a flex? No, that's ignorance. That's dumb shit. You see what I'm saying? That's the problem, is we done took the dumb shit and like exalted the dumb shit. And when you exalt the dumb shit, nothing but dumb shit comes from it. So we exalted the dumb shit years ago, and we have watched it progress into even dumber shit. And now we want to complain. Well, part of the problem is our old rappers are trying to stay relevant by beefing with each other when they're way beyond that time of their career. Y'all ain't kids no more. Shut up. Go sit at the award show. Go to the BET Awards and host. Go do some grown people shit, some lifetime award type shit. All this, I'll bust your ass. No. I'm hoping that he meant it in terms of like, I just have better music than you, not we'll fight if you show up, because that's some juvenile shit. And Busta, even though he's a big black man, he ain't young like he used to be. So watching him fight T.I. in any sense of the word or beef with T.I. is dumb to me and a waste of time. Okay? All right. So with that being said, I have to get into the purge of the evening. So hold on a second here. Let me. Did I bring it up? Yeah, I did. Let me bring up my soundboard here because we are about to get all the way into it for this last piece of our show. Okay. And I think you guys should know, I was watching, if you haven't watched the soft white underbelly, you know what, before I do it, let's make it official. It is time to go all the way in to Purge the BS.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. And now, live,
Okay. All right. And y'all make sure y'all hitting the damn like button. Don't have me up here just talking for no reason. Y'all ain't even liking it. Don't be on the sidelines acting up. You got to get in the game. Okay? And so I think we need to have this conversation because there was a brother went on to the Soft White Underbelly show. And a lot of people don't know the Soft White Underbelly show. But it's kind of like, it reminds me of Vlad TV, but like with way deeper topics. Like the guests on there, they'll find some street prostitutes and interview them on that joint. Like they be in, and they'll be like, yeah, and then he shot me up, and then he put something in my butt, and like it is. They get into it, and it was my son that put me on to it. He was like, you need to watch Soft White Underbelly. Then I watched it, and I was like, son, why are you watching this shit? This is too adult for you. So maybe I was right, maybe I was wrong, but the point is, I didn't know that young people can benefit, some of them, from really adult topics. But they have to be focused. It's a really slippery slope. So let me tell you about this particular interview. So there was a guy that came on there, and he said that there were 4 different types of black people. Now, that was interesting to me because I'm wondering, well, what 4 types of black people are you talking about? And he digs into it a little bit, and I agreed with a lot of what he said, but there was some things I didn't agree with as well. And so I said, let me take this to the audience so we can discuss, because you guys may not have seen it because most people don't look up the term soft white underbelly as a search term. And if you are, you're weird, okay? Unless you're actually looking for the channel. But if you're just looking for things that have a soft white underbelly, that's a little weird to me too. But watch yourself. Anyway, let me bring this thing up. Is it on YouTube? Oh, it is on YouTube. Okay, hold on. I forgot I got ads on YouTube. Gotta pay my premium bill. Forgot to do that. You'll get it when you get it. You know why I don't pay bills on time? Because I don't like nobody telling me what to do. All right, that's a little funny though. Feel free to use that joke anytime you feel like it, okay? The reason why you don't pay bills on time is because you don't want nobody telling you what to do. Simple as that. All right, can we get to this damn video now? All right. So let me take you over to the brother that gives us his brief rundown of the 4 shades of black. And we're going to stop this kind of through it because it's a relatively long clip. We're not going to watch the whole thing because you know I don't have that kind of attention span. I just don't. And it's only because y'all don't have that kind of attention span. When people watch things on YouTube, 30 to 60 seconds is the average attention span now. They can't watch anything that means something because there's only so much you can say to someone in 30 to 60 seconds, just being honest. So let's check this thing out.
The talk of yours that really got me so interested in what your message is your 4, I think it's titled The 4 Types of Black Americans.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to share a little bit about that here with me. So what are the 4 types?
Blacks, Negroes, niggas, niggers. So the first group being blacks. Like I said, hardworking, honest. We as black people, it's only 20% of the population. We know exactly where we want to go. We don't want to be represented by the negative aspects of our culture and our community. Niggas. We don't want to be represented by that. Doesn't matter if they're Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter if they're rich or poor. They don't want to be represented by a culture that's toxic. They don't want to be represented by people who are taking advantage of them. We, as black people, we want to be represented by those who are going to be in our interest and support us as a people and drive us forward as a people.
Okay, he's right.
So like I said, it's, your average black person that speaks well, hardworking, God-loving, country-loving. They're not going to sit back and blame someone for their shortcomings, complain about, well, I can't get by because of something that happened a century before they existed. No, they're motivated to do more with what they have and build upon it. I mean, we live in America. What the fuck? I'm a black American. I could be somewhere in Angola. I could be somewhere in Zimbabwe. That's a different experience. And broadly, that's black in the whole sense, right? But a black American and African is completely different. We have the greatest amount of opportunity and wealth, and we don't do anything with it. But black people like myself, the 20%, we're not going to sit back and keep our heads down. We're going to keep our heads forward and keep it high.
Okay, so let's just dissect this first piece he just said. He said that 20% of black Americans would be in the segment called just blacks. Good blacks is what he's kind of saying. Productive citizens, take care of their business, not out here acting ratchet, super loud, super dumb, well-spoken, normally highly educated. That's normal. That's one group. They're out here they're not out here for no handouts. They're out here for you to get the hell out their way. Like they're not asking for you to give them anything. They're just asking you to give them a lane that they can continue on without you jumping in front of them, to stop it. Because if you allow them to move freely, they will be successful. So that's the first group. I like what he said there. Let's keep going. Oh, shit. How did I do that? What the hell just happened? Hold on. Sorry, I got the... It's going to make me watch a damn ad again. Watch. I feel it. I feel it coming.
Our civilization.
All right, hold on.
Are you worried that using your home address for business...
Ooh. See how YouTube does you? You can't even rewind the video without getting the ad. All right, so let's take it back a little.
We're not going to sit back and keep our heads down. We're going to keep our heads forward and keep it high because we know exactly where we're going to go and what we're going to do. That's the first part. The first part.
Not looking for a shortcut.
No shortcuts, no handouts, none of that. I don't want reparations, the greatest reparations package that I'm here in this country. I can prosper, I can live, I can exist. I'm not in Africa where the entire economic and social conditions are different. I'm not somewhere in the Caribbean where, it's close to America, but even with that, the economic and social conditions are different. I'm in the United States where my ancestors were enslaved, but guess what? They overcame it. And I exist today, and I exist today because of them, because of their resilience, because of their sacrifice, because they kept their heads high, believing that in the future, black men and women will be free. And we all as Americans will be free to do as we feel necessary to do.
Now, you know what? I like what he's saying, but I think he needs to understand that, and I think he does understand, that there are generations of ignorance that play a part in some people's lives. It's almost like you have a family and the family doesn't want you to succeed because you'll make all of them look like failures. So they have to generationally keep producing unsuccessful people so the next generation doesn't make the generation before them look unsuccessful. It's like you have to have somebody on the bottom in order for somebody to be referenced as on the top. Someone has to be lower in order for there to be an upper. And so there is a group of people that are generationally ignorant. They pass the ignorance right on. They got their kids twerking in diapers. You know what I'm saying? They just pass it right on. And by the time the kid's brain clicks in to know what's really going on, they've already been groomed into it. So I like what he's saying because he did say that, he wants to be able to do certain things because he respects the struggle that people went through before they had all of the rights and opportunities that they have now. And he feels like because of their struggle, he's able to be successful. And so he doesn't need a handout. He just needs people to get the hell out the way. That's the same thing I just said. You don't need a handout for what? I'm perfectly capable. I'm just as intelligent as the next. If I want to be, I could go to any school I want to if I want to put in the work. So I don't need a handout. I just need you to get the hell out my way when I'm trying to do something and stop trying to stop me from being successful. And a lot of times it'd be your own people that want to stop you from being successful. We would love to just blame it on another race or group, but a lot of times it'd be your own people that stop you from being successful. That's real talk.
For our own existence, for our own survival. So that's the first group. That's the 20% of the black community, the blacks right there.
And the second group?
My favorite, the house Negro. My favorite. Because it's an interesting, when you get into that, the modern day house Negro, they would say, people who don't like me would say, I'm a coon, I'm an Uncle Tom, I'm a house Negro. No. The people that really are both Democrat and Republican. This is more the politics conversation and more the power, economics, class. Within the black community, you have black Democrats, and the majority of black people vote Democrat. And you have the black conservative, the black Republican, which I fall into that category, but I'm my own thing. I really don't subscribe to a political party. I love my country, I love my people, and I want us to prosper. That's all that matters to me. I don't really care about if the Republican Party wins the midterms. I don't really care if I have a Republican president. I care about if I have a leader that can represent us as Americans.
Right.
And of course, me being black, I want someone who can serve the interests of black people. If I was white, I would want the same thing. So it's a very interesting conversation when you get into the difference and how they're really similar, both Democrat, Republican, black. The black Republican will sit back and tell you, especially now, they're very pro-Israel, they're very pro-establishment, and they don't really talk about the black issues because many of them are country blacks that never really had to live around the nigger shit, the nigger culture, which nigger culture is black culture is nigger culture. They never had to live around that. Or there are black kids who live in suburbia. They went to night schools. They may have gone to, the HBCUs, and they got bullied as black liberals and became conservative because they didn't want to be left out. Because they didn't want to be a part of, not without a group. They didn't want to be considered, I'm alone. They couldn't do the critical thinking to build their own worldview, build their own identity. So they need another group to fall into.
Oh, shouts to Donald Plump jumping in the chat. Haven't seen you for a while. Glad to see you stop back through. Appreciate the positive message there. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I do use my brain. As we all should. As we all should. But that's easier said than done for some people. They're using something else. I don't know what it is. They're using drugs. I don't know what they're doing. But they're not using this thing, this magical thing that God put in our heads. And if you're not a religious person, all right, fine. That whatever creator you want to believe in put in your head. But you get my point. It's there to be used. And I heard we're only using like 10% of it. So imagine if we actually use more of it. We'd make even better decisions. That's crazy, right? But nonetheless, let me let the guy get back to it. So we got the blacks, that's group number one. And now we're at the house Negroes. Now, most people think the house Negro is just the yes sir boss, but yes sir boss was in the streets. The house Negro was the one that Malcolm X talked about. That was always like, yeah, we sick, boss. Whenever the boss is sick, master's sick, we sick. Like including themselves in a cause that really don't have anything to do with them, but by including themselves in the cause, they feel like they'll get better treatment, so they do so. That's your house Negro. So let's let this guy continue with his explanation, but that's mine. I know the difference.
So that I despise them most because they're the closest thing to me in terms of ideologically, in terms of voting. And they do a great disservice in trying to provide a viable alternative both socially and economically for black people. The black Democrat, I respect him because he understands exactly what he believes as much as I disagree. One is grifting, the black Republican, the black conservative. The black Democrats are stupid. That's it. And stupid, all that means is that, you know better, you're just choosing not to do better. They'll sit back and sell the poisonous lie that black people are oppressed, that, it's the white man's fault, that, we're forever to be victims. And they capitalize on that black pain and that black lack of drive, lack of purpose in order to win elections. The biggest example, Jasmine Crockett. I was telling somebody this on the street. Jasmine Crockett. She didn't come from the ghetto. She didn't come from a poor background. She went to law school. She had a two-parent household. She's not somebody that came from the bottom.
Honey.
But when she gets on TV, she'll put on this act and she'll start talking and snapping and trying to act like the average black woman from, Compton or from Detroit or from Richmond or from anywhere you can name predominantly black. It's like you don't come from that. So why are you trying to pretend to be that? Why are you?
He's right there. He's right there because real recognizes real. So when these certain political folks would come out and do this dance for the blacks, as they would say, we didn't believe it. We don't believe you. You need more people. It's just like Jay-Z said. We didn't believe it. I didn't believe any of it because they tried too hard. Like, let me tell you what. Smart black people know this skill that I call the switch. You know when to switch your niggerdom on and off, and you're good at it. Like quick, bang, 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 bang. It's a switch. If you don't know how to use your switch, and you're one of those, I'm the same wherever I'm at, then you don't understand what I'm talking about. Then you don't understand. And then some people will call it code switching. I'll call it acting appropriate for the situation. Because you can stand next to your homeboy, make a whole bunch of noise and laugh and all that kind of stuff outside or at your house. But if y'all happen to be in a business, you're not going to act that way. Why? Because it's fucking inappropriate. Right? So it doesn't, some people don't have that switch. They don't know how to turn it on and off. They're just always on. And that's why people think they're ignorant. See how that adds up? So you are supposed to be able to read the room. Whatever you are, black, white, whatever you are, you are supposed to be able to read the room. You are supposed to be able to walk into an establishment or a business or a situation, read the room, and address it accordingly. Now, with that being said, because 300-pound black men, and I'm not 300 pounds, but I'm just pointing to myself, 300-pound black men are always looked at as a threat. So when you come into a place, you can't even raise your fucking voice on them because they called the police. I was scared for my life. He was way over there, but I was scared for my life. That is the world that we live in. So even though this guy, I believe that he's right. He's mostly right, but he's taken away from, there are some people that are held down, but they were held down years ago. Their family was, the area that they were in, the impoverished area, they were moved into certain areas years ago. And those people were held down because they're generationally cursing each other. And it's not that easy to get out of a generational curse because it's put on you before you realize what the hell is going on. So, although he's right, he's also wrong. There are some oppressed ass people out here because their oppression started generations ago and their family never got the hell out of it. They're not enslaved, obviously, because that's illegal now. But they're impoverished, and because they're impoverished, they're not getting the resources they need. They're not getting the education they need. That's oppression. You know that the education system in a certain area is not up to par, and you don't fix it, then you are basically oppressing that area. You see what I'm saying? You have the tools to fix it, but you decide not to. I don't want them niggas to learn all that. Let's not put a STEM program over there. Let's not put new charter schools over there. Let's not do anything like that. Let's take away the police athletic centers and the recs and the after school activities. Let's take all of that away from these impoverished people, But that's not oppression. So you got to understand what oppression looks like to the commercial person. It's some old, fat ass, long beard white guy with a KKK hood on sitting at an office desk when you're trying to get a job. That's what they think oppression looks like. It's not really all of that. If you got a skill, people will hire you. It's as simple as that, black, white, or whatever. But there are also people that might be at that job you go to that got some twisted shit going on in their head. That's not oppression. That's just prejudice. And you can fight that. You can get past that. Or you might have to punch somebody in the mouth. It all depends on how you deal with the situation. But a person that's oppressing you is somebody that can stand in front. You're trying to do something, they can put something in front of you to slow that whole process down and mess you up. So let's see what we got here.
You're trying to, because they want to sell nigga identity to win. People who don't know, who are not informed, who are not educated on the current political conversation or current events in order to win.
All right, I got to stop that real quick because that was a problem for me. Here's the thing. If the greater majority of black Americans are not hood-ratted ratchets out here making a bunch of noise and doing nothing, then why would a political party think to edge in that direction instead of somewhere closer to the middle for the person that doesn't support that kind of shit? It's because they thought more of y'all liked that shit than you actually did. They thought that having Meg Thee Stallion at Kamala Harris's vice presidential household would sell well with black people. But what they didn't understand is black people were going to vote for you if you were good at whatever anyway. You didn't have to sell that. And once you try to sell it, that's when we look at you like, hold on, are you grifting over here? Because you should know better. You should know how to turn your switch off and know that Meg Thee Stallion at the damn White House is inappropriate. But we let a campaign of a bunch of young people make some stupid decisions, and that's how that happened. None of that should have been going on. Ain't no presidential candidate run like that. Never. Beyonce and all this other, man, nobody, we saw right through the fact that somebody was just pulling strings to try to say, hey, look who we got. Look who we got. And then there was no message in the substance. I mean, there was no substance in the message. And that's what missed at the end. It was the message didn't have enough to carry it. It wasn't about Meg Thee Stallion. If you didn't have Meg Thee Stallion there, nobody would have fucking cared, man. But because they keep thinking they have to appease that group of people to win an election, which is a lie, because everybody knows that the United States is 75% white people. So if you want to win an election, get them to vote for you because they can beat out any other group. But you're trying to battle for 10% of the population while 90% of the population is like, who's Meg Thee Stallion? You see what I'm saying? It was a poor move. And the same thing just happened with Jasmine Crockett. She ran her entire campaign on being a sister girl and that she hated Trump. And unfortunately, there's some people that don't like sister girls and there's some people that do like Trump. So that's not a smart campaign. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. I get it. Y'all think that I'm being too harsh on Jasmine and Kamala. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would have loved to see nothing more than a beautiful black woman in power. But she's got to be fucking qualified and do the job correctly. I don't care how good you look or how cool you are. You got a job to do, especially at that level. You got some real serious work to do. So I don't care if you're cool. I don't care if you got an Instagram profile. I do care somewhat if you're cute. I ain't gonna lie, because some of the people down in Congress and all, they be ugly as hell. So when you get one that's halfway decent to look at, you be like, let her speak. let her speak. No. I'm reclaiming her time. I want her to have the time back. So nonetheless, Jasmine does come from the streets compared to Donald Trump. That's actually a really interesting comment. Thanks for throwing that in there, Donald Trump. But she's not a street person. She's not from the hood. And the fact that was the gimmick they wanted to push means that they have a bad idea of the temperature of the United States. Because I could have told you that it wasn't going to work. I told my friends that. They told me I was a woman hater. I said, no, I'm fine with her. I'm just saying that's not how you win an election. And I'm no genius. I just know where the hell I live and the demographics of the country that I live in. So I know that's a poor way to do that. If Barack Obama would have came out there and dropped a freestyle at the Democratic National Convention, we would have never seen that as the black president. You understand what I'm saying? But he came out well-spoken. He came out with some respect and had his head high and he spoke with the blah, 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 blah. People loved it. So if that's what worked, why the hell did anybody else think that we needed to get away from it once there were black women involved? Shit, Kamala Harris didn't do that the first time around. Now, granted, she got elected, because she was a running mate. So they weren't really voting for her per se directly. But still, she saw what the winning formula is. That wasn't the winning formula, and they screwed up. So we got House Negroes, and the House Negroes don't know how to take the proper temperature so that they can win elections. That's the problem. They think that they're, molding in with the field Negroes by acting a certain way, but the field Negroes already know that they're House Negroes, so we don't trust you. And then when you start trying to act like the field Negro, now I really don't trust you because now you're a liar. Okay, I'll continue. I'm going to let them get through the other two real quick so we can get out of here.
It's no different than what we see with immigration, what we see with so many different things. You have an elite that will use the bottom, the useful idiots, as a means to get what they want with immigration. I mean, people have always been coming to this country. People are always going to come to this country. But both parties use immigration as a way to maintain economic power. Republicans do that. And the Democrats, voting power. It's not good for us as a country. It's not good for me as a black person, not good for any white person. Nobody's saying that people can't come here, but when we have people pouring into our country, what does it do economically? What does it do culturally? What does it do into the demographics of this country? That's not a good thing. We want people to have better lives. We want people to prosper. But if I'm not able to eat, if I'm not able to get a job, if most of my generation is going to be working 2 jobs just to get by, they're having their first kid, they're struggling economically, they're up their neck into debt. Why are we letting people in when we can't even take care of our own? That doesn't make any sense. But both parties, they benefit from that. And then going back to the black thing, both Democrat and Republican benefit from black Republicans not acknowledging the problem, talking about it from afar, and being the useful opposition. And then the black Democrat feeding off that black pain and pinning one against each other when really this is a class thing. Honestly. It's a class thing. That's controversial for someone on the right to say that, to talk about class. Usually it's a left-leaning thing, but who cares about right and left? It's more about what is beneficial for us as Americans and as a whole.
Oh, they're going to give me a good ad. You sons of bitches. Anyway, I like what he's saying so far. I don't agree with him 100%, but he's on the right track. And I can't ask for anything more than that, than for a person to just be on the right track. You know what I'm saying? So let's continue to hear what he has to say here, because he's definitely earned a few more minutes of listening. Now, he seems like he's probably an asshole in real life. Just saying. But I would try to get him on this show at some point. I'll try to reach out to the guy, say we did a show on him, and see if he wants to make any comments based on how we feedback on this particular video, okay? I promise y'all I'll do that.
Niggas. 60% of the black community is filled with niggas. Loud, ghetto, argumentative, entitled. I've said this many times, it really comes from the black Gen Xers. And so there's a generational element that comes into that. That's a big problem. They walk around with a chip on their shoulder. Somebody owes me something. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you anything other than a blanket when you're born, taxes when you're living, and a coffin when you're dead. That's it. That's the three things you get in life. That's it. And right now I got the blanket and I'm paying the taxes and we ain't dead yet. I don't know about the coffin, so we're doing pretty good. All right, that's it. That's the only things I've been given, and that's it.
Weird camera shot.
Niggas will be non-violent, but very aggressive in the rhetoric and the way they operate. And it's hard to really say this, but someone needs to say it because that's how we are. And stereotypes exist for a reason. They don't exist because someone just put them on. They exist because it's an examination of behavior. Today's racism isn't, I don't like you because you're different. That's 100 years ago when the world wasn't so interconnected. You didn't have a vast means of travel by land, by sea, by air. No one really saw, what that black person looked like, and only a few people did. No one saw what an Asian looked like, only a few people did. So it was very new. But today's racism is more, your behavior's poor. You're acting like a nigga. I don't like that. This is unbecoming of what the standard is in a civilized society. We don't want this in our society. That's what it is today. And when you tell black people that, they get mad and say, no, they just being racist. Okay, what's racism? There's nothing systematically holding you back. You just don't like you being called out for your actions. So niggas will sit back and complain, and there's a reason for why I do it. There's a reason for why I make the content I do. There's a reason for why I speak the way I do. Because it's really to piss them off. You got to piss them off. Because I will not be represented. I will not sit back as a 25-year-old. I will not sit back in 20 years and have somebody that's 20 or 25 coming to me and saying, you failed, and we are worse off, or even the problems that still exist, they persist and they're worse than when you started. I won't sit back and allow that to be me. So.
All right. Okay. I'm going to pause him real quick, and then we're going to go to his last one, and then we're going to get out of here. But first and foremost, I don't appreciate him calling out Gen X like that. Okay? Gen X worked their asses off. They had to have an analog upbringing and a digital adulthood. That is the only duplicitous generation, is Gen X. The only ones that fully are able to understand both sides of that. The newer ones, all technology. They don't know how to remember phone numbers and shit. Gen Xers knew their mama number, their daddy number, and probably still to this day remember a few phone numbers because they came from that. So I didn't appreciate him trying to say like Gen X messed everything up. No, they didn't. Because when Gen X was coming up, the baby boomers were still in play. And who were the ones that were allowing the information that had interesting connotations and such? Like, who was Archie Bunker written for? It wasn't written for Gen X. You see what I'm saying? When racism was okay on TV, it wasn't our fault. It wasn't Gen X's fault. It found a way out of there, but now it's back. It's racism is back. Now you got transism and all these other sisms. But Gen X didn't destroy the world. No, the world was on its way anyway. And Gen X was able to catch two sides of this world. The analog one where you couldn't see nothing before there were police body cams and shit like that. Yeah, y'all get to see everything now. You got a phone in your hand and there's always somebody recording. We didn't have that. You had to stay on your P's and Q's because you could get caught up and nobody would see it. So you had to be safe that way. When you were a kid, you would leave your house in the morning and not come back until sometime late at night. Your parents had to be without you and without you having a communication device for 8 to 10 hours a day. So you're not going to tell me that the world was made worse by those kids. Those were some pretty damn capable kids. You could kick them out. Get out my house. Nowadays, you can't get a kid to go outside. Gen X kids went outside, rode bikes, climbed trees, all that old school shit. And now, some of them can code AI and all types of stuff because they came in with technology. So I didn't like when he said that. But everybody says that. Gen X blames the boomers. The millennials blame Gen X. You know, it's a whole thing. So, nonetheless, everybody contributed. But if we don't identify the real problem, which is the people that had money, that's why when they said it's a thing about class, that's it. But he was talking more about like, are you a classy person or not? But I'm talking about the class and caste system that we have in the United States. The people who control the images that you see on TV are people with money. You cannot, as a broke person, get a commercial on TV for any product that you're thinking about selling. They can put products on TV that are known to fuck you up. I seen a commercial the other day, and I don't know anybody else who's seen it, but there's a commercial for a medicine called Jardiance, right? Jardiance is a kidney medicine. At least that's what it's supposed to be for. It's supposed to help your kidneys. But when they start listing off the side effects, there's this one particular part that just bothers me. And they say that it may cause a rash and irritation between the anus and the genitals. And this is not a game. If you've seen this commercial, you listen, this is what they say. And they say both may be fatal. So a rash on your ass can be fatal. I don't want the medicine. But we trust these people so much. They put some nice little cute little turtles in the commercial, so we think it's harmless. But if you listen to what they're saying, they're telling you that you might develop a rash on your ass and die. I don't want to take it. So it's not Gen X as a specific, it's people with money that can put shit out there that will kill you, and you'll take it willingly. You will willingly get the rash on your ass because you think you need some pill because some doctor told you that's what you need. And now you paying for it and you got ass rash. That can be fatal. A fatal ass rash. Anyway, I'm going to let this guy continue, but I just think we're not going to point at any one generation. It has to do with people who had the money to put images and shit in front of you so that they can propagandize you into whatever idea they wanted you to believe in at the time. This is what's cool. This is, what's the cool toy? The one that you saw in the commercial. What was the cool phone that you wanted to buy? The one you saw in the commercial. It was always about commercials. So let's blame people that have money and understand marketing and advertising, because that's manipulation in and of itself. And they've been putting this dumb shit in people's heads for years. But like I said, he's mostly right. He's mostly right.
Oh, that's niggas.
And then
niggers.
The hard
no word. You can't say that one. Well, we're saying it because someone needs to say it. It's a harsh one. I know it's very uncomfortable for people because there's a historical context to the term.
Right.
I can't sit back and completely just disregard that.
Right.
But the reason for why I do is because you have to separate. And I'm big on segregation in the black community. You have to separate black people from the niggas and niggers. You have to. You've got to do that. The modern day house Negro is going to manipulate. He completely will be X'd out because he enables the behavior of the niggas and niggers he does. He doesn't want to work with the black person because the black person is going his own direction and he can't make money off that. But the niggas and niggers, he can make money off that. But niggers are very, honestly, the drug dealers, the murderers, the rapists, the people you see on the 5 o'clock news, they've got a long, extensive criminal history. In some cases, they've been neglected. We got to acknowledge that fact, that there's a lot of neglect in the black community when it comes to crime and mental health. But mainly it's done by culture. We glorify a culture of violence. We glorify a culture of dysfunction. We're coming from households that are dysfunctional. Yeah. We're coming from households that are completely, there's no father, and really there's no mother at all. There's just people who oversee, get them to school, maybe feed them every now and again. Nobody exists in the household for black children today, especially my generation. Biggest generation of neglect and abuse.
I like making my podcast.
Well, I'm not going to watch their stupid ass ad, so we're going to call it right there. Now I'll tell you what's interesting. Let's have a conversation and we can get up out of here. I get in trouble on YouTube all the time. I'm sure I'm gonna get a strike today for that story about the circumcision by oral suction on a child. Even though that is sick and twisted and goofy as hell, and that's all I'm saying about it, they're gonna tell me that it's not suitable to talk about. And I don't know why. But anytime I talk about somebody messing with some kids, they always got something to say to me about it. But you can use the term nigga 1,000 different times in different ways, and they don't have no problem with it. I had a clip on here a week ago of a song called White Nigga. A guy named Forgiato Blow did the dumbest song I've heard at least this year, and it's called White Nigga, right? You know they didn't touch me for that. They let me put the video out. They had no I ended up revenue sharing with Forgiato Blow. Like, they didn't even freaking care. Any other time, they would have hit me with a copyright for the song, and they would have hit me with an ad suitability for the content. They said nothing. So I see what it is. I see what this is. I know what it is. I know what this YouTube machine is and what it was designed for. It was designed to keep people stupid along with other stuff, but a few people then leaked into it and started talking that real shit, like myself. But it's not even intended for that. When I have real conversation, there's no push. Let me get on here and start bad-mouthing black women all day. Oh, yeah, they'll love to talk about that. They'll be like, oh, we're going to cancel them, but they'll push that content out. But if I say over here, let's have our people act like they have some class, and not just black people, like everybody. Act like you got some fucking class. Everybody. Everyone. But unfortunately, we don't have that luxury here. We have an abundance of dumbasses walking around in the United States. We just do. And we can't get rid of them because it's not illegal to be dumb. It's not against the law. Now, it's against the law to do certain dumb stuff, but it's not against the law to just be an idiot. And because of that, we have way too many idiots just walking around. So what we have to do is we have to be prepared for the X factor, which is the idiots getting in your way. Because some people think they're racist and they're just prejudiced idiots. They have no power. They're just annoying as shit. They're just saying stuff, can't do nothing. You run circles around them when it comes to intellect, but they just saying stuff. No power. So you get pulled into that and you knock one of them the hell out. Now you in jail and you got a record. Even though you knew better than that. So we got to be honest right now. There's a group of people whose job it is to pull down the rest of us into some dumb shit. And we cannot allow that. What we need to try to do is, I hate to say it because that's what he said on the clip, we got to separate. We got to separate the real ones from the fake ones. We got to separate the smart ones from the dumb ones. Because one bad apple spoils the bunch. And if you put a bunch of ignorant people around some decent people, the ignorant people will win. Oh yeah, they will win every time. And I'm tired of ignorant people winning. I'm tired of ignorant people winning the battles that the smart people are supposed to win. That the good people are supposed to win. But because they're good and they don't want to do malicious things, they end up losing to the person that isn't good and is malicious. And I can't keep going like that. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you run into me and I catch you on some bullshit, you're going to hear from me. I hold myself to a higher standard. I hold my children to a higher standard. I hold my family to a higher standard. And anybody that interacts with me is going to be held to a higher standard. So if you don't want to be held to a higher standard, just don't hang around me. It's as simple as that. Because I'm not here for the goofiness. I'm here to make a change before I get out of here. Okay? But speaking of getting out of here, I do have to get out of here. Special shouts to everybody that's in the chat over here. Donald Plump, thank you for coming back through. Special applause for you. And for anybody else that came through, I do appreciate y'all coming by. I do appreciate y'all jumping in the chat for those that did. We will be back on Thursday with another purge of the bullshit. But until then, I want you to be mindful that there are some really dumb people in this world. And they're dumb enough to think that they're smarter than you. So why don't we show them how dumb they really are by not doing the dumb shit that they do? Okay? And with that, I'm getting up out of here because that, my friends, is the bullshit. And we out. Hey. Anyway.